Hi guys, very good evening to all of you. My name is Ajay Parmar and I welcome all of you to my channel, and I welcome all of you to this video number 502. Channel name is youtube.com/c/Ajay Kumar Parmar, and in this video today we are going to make shift based project on the Excel, and we are going to use the VBA events with the countif function. So this is going to be a beautiful video for those who actually want to see the power of the VBA, and who, or maybe for those who know the VBA and they are looking for some case studies, real case studies, where we are going to combine the VBA events with the VBA functions. And in this video I'm going to talk about the countif, how to use the VBA countif, right, with the help of the Excel. Now I want to, first of all, before I go further, I want to just take your 1 minute quickly. Let me just first of all read out the email which which I received actually from my subscriber. So this is the email I received from Choi, and he said that, "Hi Ajay, I watched your videos about using the countif in data validation. I'm hoping you can help me out. I'm working on a shared worksheet for staff self-scheduling. User will be able to put there at the desired end shift for the night shift. Total number of staff allowed each day is only 10. At the bottom of each column is the total number of staff already signed up. I'm using the data validation to prevent the user to sign up on the night shift where the total number of staff has reached 10. So he has written a long email, and I'm going to actually tell you quickly that what we want to do here, but this is the important line, that this is for the staff self-scheduling. So what actually he's saying is, let me show you. So guys, so the plan is, first of all, you go in the Excel and you make this sort of data, right, where we create the Excel table, normal spreadsheet table, where we have the team names, and I have written some name, as you can see here in the column C, and we will give the day on day the shifts, right, like in column D, E, F. You can see that it's Monday, Tuesday. In case if you have month on month the shift assignment, well, you can use that. If you have the week 1, week 2 sort of that, then also you can use this template. You just need to change the numbers. Right now, in the column A and the column B, you see that what I have done, I have actually put in the the shifts, right. 3 to 11 is for the, let's say, N1 shift, 12 to 3 PM is for the N2 shift, and 10 to 8 is for the N3 shift. So what we are going to do is, in this after you make this Excel, then what we're going to do, we're going to use the data validation. Now in this data validation, obviously if you know the data validation, it's a very basic thing in Excel. We are going to provide these all the names, right. I'm going to put the drop down there, and user can select the shift from there. Now why we are doing this? So that your data can be persistent, because in the data validation, if somebody is going to enter anything which is not a part of data validation, they will not be able to enter that, right. So a user can use this drop down to fill in the shifts like N1, N2, N3, right. Now after you make this Excel database, this is the code, guys. Now this is the code we are going to use, right. So this is going to be very interesting, and I can bet on that, because this is one of my favorite areas, which is called the VBA events. So let's talk about this. I'm going to walk you through step by step about all this and what it is going to do. First of all, let us quickly go and check that as well. So this is the Excel. Now you can see that I have here all the shifts coming, N1, N2, N3. I'm using only 3 shifts, right. Now if I just, let's say, enter here N1 shift, all right, you see I'm able to enter, and then again I go and enter, and then again I go and enter, and then again I go and enter. Now if I just go and enter it here again, you see that immediately the prompt comes, limit exhausted, and the moment, guys, I press OK, look at this very carefully. If I just press OK, what's gonna happen? Do you see the magic? The cell is deleted from here. I'm not sure if you have noticed it. I'm sure, I mean you must have noticed it, but just in case if you missed out that, you see what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put this N1 shift to Mr. Venkat, right? And the moment I do that, immediately the prompt comes, look, your limit is exhausted for this N1 shift, and this is also going to be deleted. Now why this is exhausted? Because of the reason that I have put this in the VBA, in the code, that N1 cannot be given more than 4 times in any of the day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, there are several ways of doing it. You can use the Excel also. You can put here some Excel function also, but I think the VBA is the fantastic thing to do it, because then nobody's going to see your formula, what you have done exactly, right? Now let's talk about something else. So let's say if I just go and enter here maybe some another shift. So let's say I haven't created the data validation yet because I don't see the N2 here, but that's okay. Let me just write this manually. So I enter N2, N2, N2 and N2 and N2. Do you see that? For N2 I have not put any restriction, guys. So that's why you can add as many N2 shifts as you can. So how we have done that? Now remember one thing, your project might be different. You may not be looking exactly for this thing, and it's not necessary, right? Because I know all of you, so I've got 4,000 subscribers on this channel right till date, and all of you are watching, and you may have different requirement, but you have to understand the idea, what we are going to do, how we are going to do it, so that you can implement it, right? It should not happen you're going to just copy and paste the thing. So let us go and first of all understand the idea. Now the first thing which I'm simply going to do here is that I'm just going to put the data validation here. So this is my data validation. I hope you know the data validation. Data validation is you go in the data and you click on the data validation, and you just click on the data here and list and just select that range, right? This range N1, N2, N3. And now once I have done that, I simply go and copy this, and I'm just going to paste this all over the cells, right? Control V, I'm doing it, Control C and Control V. Alright, so now we got all the shifts here. You can see that. Now what is the next thing I want to do here? Now the next thing which I want to do here is, so now guys, I'm going to first of all tell you that how we're going to use the countif function. Now countif function, if you know, this is how we use the countif function. We use the countif, we give the range. So this is going to be my range, and in this range I will simply calculate the N1 shift. This is how I will calculate it. You press enter, and the moment you write here N1, you see that your number is increasing, right? This is how we use the countif, right? And just in case if you don't have the idea about the countif, you can go and visit my playlist, which is Excel count and sum family, right? I also wanted to tell you one thing, that a lot of you ask me that how to begin this Excel or Excel VBA or Access training. So this is the playlist for you. This is the playlist sequence, right? When you go to my channel, there you find all these playlists. Let me show you. If you click on the playlist icon, this playlist link, you get to see here 48 different playlists. Now all these playlists are on Excel, Access VBA and Excel VBA. So pause the video and go and have fun. Just note down this playlist series. So now let's come back to the topic. So this is what we want to do. Now I have designed this formula for this function, this countif for the N1. Similarly, you have to again write one more function, and you have to basically create that for the N2. So let's say I just copy this function, I paste the function here. Make sure you freeze the this range, and instead of the N2, then N1 you write N2. And now if somebody goes and write here N2, you see that the N2 is changing, right? So this is how you have to basically create all these functions, and these numbers we are going to put that in the validation, in the criteria. Now obviously, because we are talking about the Excel VBA, so we will use this function not here. We will not use the countif here. Let me just delete that. We are simply going to use that in the VBA. So what you need to do is, now two things very important. When you go to the VBA, if you see that where I have written this code, I have written this code in the sheet 1. Normally you write the codes in the module, but you don't have to write the code in the module, because this code we want specifically to be run on the sheet 1, this sheet 1. And at the same time, because this is an event, now what are the events? Events are the self-triggered macros. I had talked about this the events in detail from the very basic, from the very scratch, under the playlist Excel VBA events. You can go and enjoy that. In case if you don't have any idea about it, let me just brief you. So basically, when you select any sheet, for example, if I just go and create one more sheet here, right? Now when you go to the VBA, guys, you see that the sheet 2 is already inserted, right? Because you inserted the sheet. Now you need to select this worksheet, and when you select the worksheet, here you get to see a drop down, and here we have a lot of options. Now these are all the VBA events. For example, if you just write anything here, you select this activate and you just write something here, then that means that anything when this worksheet is going to be activated, your macro will run automatically. It will not wait for your button. It will not wait for you to click on the button, right? This is they are all self-triggered macros, right? So similarly guys, what we have done, I have selected here this event called change. I talked about this event in one of my previous videos also, Excel VBA events. I am again repeating so that you should not feel like you are lost somewhere, because this is very important technology, right? So when I said that change, this macro inserted private sub worksheet underscore change by val target as range and end sub, right? Now what we are doing here is, now in this particular case, if you look at this, I have also inserted a module very smartly. You know why? Because I wanted to create a variable called I as global. Okay, let me just change that to byte. So global I is as byte. It means that it is going to exist everywhere, in every module, in every sheet module, and this is what I'm using here, right? Now I'll tell you what happens. Now first of all, you need to understand that this is not a normal macro. This is the event, and events, as I said, when they meet the condition, they run themselves. Now what is this worksheet change? Worksheet change means that in this entire sheet, anytime if any value changes in this, in this cell, this is going to work. This is going to work in this way automatically. So let's say if I just go and select N1 here. Now you see your cell is already empty, but the moment you put the N1, there is a value change happening. There is a change is happening. So the moment it comes with the N1, your macro will fire automatically. So this is how you can actually trace, you can make this entire code. So whenever the user is going to enter anything here, maybe if I just go and write here, let's say 7, you see that the moment I press enter, this macro will trigger automatically. That is why guys, they are called the events, right? So for any change, if I'm just going to write, if I'm going to run this macro, then this macro is going to perform its job. So what I've done is, let's say I just written here N1. The moment you press enter, now what happens? Let me explain you. So the first thing is your I. Now you see that when the I is going to run for the first time, your I is going to be 0. So this condition is going to fail, because you know that I is 0, because I is a global variable which I have declared here, and this is going to, when you run this, it is going to take value as 0. It is empty, right? So obviously I is not 1, so there is no question of exiting from the sub, right? Exit sub I have written in this case. I'll tell you why I have written this. So right now your focus has to be on this line. Look at this guys. Now here I'm simply writing a function, worksheet function dot countif. I have given the same range which I showed you in Excel. So this is going to count what? N1 shift is going to be counted in D2 to D10, and if the count is going to be greater than 4, then what happens? The message box will come limit exhausted. Otherwise the message box will not come, right? So obviously N1 is going to be counted here, and the result of this entire function will return 1, because N1, it's just one time we have entered. So naturally what will happen, this will skip the then and it will go in the else if and the end sub, and that's it. And you are supposed to, VBA is going to allow you to enter this N1. Similarly guys, next time if I again enter N1, again this event will trigger automatically, because this is a worksheet change, right? Now next time when you run this, now look at the value of the I. Now the value is still 0, obviously, because I is, it's a global variable, and we are not changing the value anywhere. So by default I will always start with the 0, because it is empty, right? So naturally we will go in the else mode, and again it is going to be counted. Now this entire worksheet function, this entire function, this is going to return me what? This is again going to return me this time 2. Now 2 is not greater than 4, you know that, right? So if I just select this, and if I just go and try to put this on the watch code, let me see that if we can see the value, the result of this, you can see that I got the value as 2 of this function. I simply use the watch code, right? So this function, let me just go and first of all remove all these unwanted headers. Yeah, so you see it is 2, which makes sense. Again it is allowed. Perfect. Now again I go and enter here N1. So I go and enter here N1, I enter, and this time you see that what is the value? The value is going to be 3, which is again not greater than 4. So condition fails and it is allowed. Now the next time when you're going to write this, see what is going to happen. So the next time the function, this worksheet function countif returns 4. Now 4 is it greater than 4? Obviously this condition again will fail, right? Because this is not greater than 4. 4 is actually equals to 4. So this else and if. Now the next time when I enter here n1, it should definitely go and create a problem. See what is going to happen. Your I is 0, so we don't have to exit from the macro and if, and now I is 5, which is greater than 4. So now what is going to happen? Because my I, this 5, the counter value is greater than 4, so what happens? It goes in the then part, and then it says that limit exhausted, right? Or whatever you want to write, right? So you just write here limit exhausted, and then important thing, guys, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to make sure that I should be equals to true. In fact, not true, I beg your pardon, I should be equals to 1. Now why I'm writing I equals to 1? Because you know right now I is 0 because it is empty, but we have to make it 1. I'll tell you the reason. Because whenever this macro will run, then part will run, next time this target value is going to be deleted, which means this n1 should be deleted, right? You're just not only highlighting, alarming the user that your limit is exhausted, but at the same time you have to remove this n1 also, which is right now given for this PR, right? So what we are doing, target dot value equals to space. Now you must be wondering that what is target. I had explained this target in one of my videos under the playlist Excel VBA events. What is the target? This is a keyword of VBA which you can use only under the sheet events. You cannot use the target word under the modules. Target is what? Target means that if you look at this by val, it says target has changed. So you can see here target actually is n1, right? So now what actually it means that whenever there is any change happens in this sheet, you know this macro runs. If you just go and refer it to, you know, target word, VBA will refer it to the cell where the actually change happened. Now you know that where the change happened. The change happened in the D6, because of which this macro enabled, this macro automatically ran. So for this target, if I write dot value equals to space, VBA will automatically go in this D6 and make it blank. Look at this. The moment I'm going to make this, I'm going to run this target value equals to blank. You see this n1 will be lost. It is going to be deleted. Now once this is deleted, it is very interesting. Once this is deleted, now what happened? Again, a change happens. A change occurred because your cell was filled with some value and you deleted it. So now the change happened. N1 removed, and now the new cell is having a 0 value, blank value. So when there is a change in the cell, you know this macro will again rerun, right? But now this time when it reruns, I have put this I as 1. Right? So because you see that I equals to 1, so you have to make sure, because whenever you're going to delete something from here, the next time we do not want to run the entire macro again. So here I is 1, which is going to satisfy. So now before you exit from the macro, make sure I should be equals to 0 again, so that the next time when somebody runs it, it should be 0. But the important part is it should exit. Look at this, guys. Macro stops. Right? If I don't put this condition here, then what will happen? It keeps on rerunning again and again. It may happen, right? So that's why we are making it sure that once if my if part, this then part is going to be executed, then that only means that I have reached my limit. And if I have reached my limit, not only I want to delete that target cell, but I also want to make sure that I should be 1, so that when this is going to rerun after deleting the value, because this will trigger again, you should immediately exit from here, right? This is the logic, guys. Now if you have to keep this for the n2 also, what you need to do is you just go and press enter. Now I just go, and to make it very simple, I simply go and I just copy and paste the code here. So I copy the page, copy the code, I paste the code here. Let me just copy and paste it here. Just let me copy this and paste it here. Alright, and this time what I will do, I will simply make it n2. And what limit you want to give? Let's say you want to just make sure that it should not be given more than 2 times. That's it, right? And again, guys, I just copy this, and let's say I allocate it for n3 also, so you can go and increase this, right? Now you need to do one thing, because I'm only talking about this Monday, so you have to make sure that this should be for Tuesday, this should be Wednesday, for Thursday, Friday. So what you can do is you can copy this entire code from here. You can just, let me just show you, let me do it this, the E for you, and the rest you can do. So I just go and copy this here, and now quickly we're going to make this E2 and E10, and again E2 and E10, and then again we just go here and make this E2 to E10, right? I hope, and you can just put the comment here that this is now for E column, right? Just to be clear. Okay, so now we are done with everything. I will first of all check that in the D2. So remember the D2, if I just go and select the N2, what is going to happen? So the first time the loop is running, and you know that I is going to be 0, right? Because this, if you remember this line, before exiting the sub, I made it sure that I has to be 0. So now my I is 0, obviously it will go in the else mode. Now what is the worksheet function? It is going to return, obviously it's going to return this is N1. So N1, obviously we will not we are not going to worry about the N1 because N1 is already doing fine, so it will simply go in the else if mode. But now here the N2 is going to be counted, and you can put the watch code again here, but we know what is going to happen. This countif is going to return me the value of N2, which is 1. Naturally it will be allowed, so it goes in the next time. And obviously N3 we have not written, so there's no question of this, it is going to be greater than 2, so everything will run. And then similarly this entire portion will also run, so you just go and press F5. There we go. Now I again go and write here N2. So I go, and again this is going to run. Let us see N1. There's no problem in the N1 because N1 has already entered 4 times, as I was telling you, right? So and here you have now 2 and 2. So 2 is not greater than 2, obviously we know, so it is also allowed. Let me press F5. The code actually ran. Now guys, this time when I select the N2, it should not run. So let us go and check that. So you see what is going to happen. Now this is going to give you the clarity. Now obviously I is empty, so we will not execute the then part. So now the first part, this is my N1, which is counted in the D2 to D10. It has nothing to do with this because D2 to D10, if you start counting N, it's coming 4 times, and which is allowed because 4 greater than 4 is not going to, going to meet, right? So we will go in the else mode, but in the next if now we should see some results. We should go in the then mode because count of N2 is 3 and 3 is greater than 2, which means it should definitely go in the then mode. And there we go, and you got the message box limit exhausted. And now once the limit exhausted, now you know what is your target dot value. Obviously this is the value because when you entered here N2, this event ran. So this target dot value VBA will automatically capture. It is going to capture the D8, right? But before we make the D8 as empty, let us make sure this I should be equals to 1. Okay, so we ran this I equals to 1. Now I is not 0, it is 1. Target dot value, look at here, the moment I run this, it is deleted. Now guys, again the change will happen because you have deleted something from the Excel cell. So naturally there is a change in the value, and when there is a change in the value, worksheet underscore change event will run automatically. That is what these events meant for. Right? I know they are very complex. They are very, initially you find difficult because they work like loop in loop. Sometimes they run themselves, right? Like in this particular case, you might have not expected that this is again going to run. But if you're deleting something, change is going to happen. But we have a solution, right? Because now I is 1. So what happens? Immediately it will not go in the else mode and it will start, recalculating the entire thing. It will go in then mode, and in the then mode we have making sure that before we exit I again, let's change it back to 0, and there we go guys, end if, and now everything will work in this way. So you just press F5 and there we go. So this is how your basically macro can be designed. Now I remove the break code, and let me quickly go and check that in the other values. So if I press N1, it should not be allowed. You see that limit exhausted and it is deleted. If I just go and press N2, limit exhausted and N2 is deleted. If I go and press N3, you see that I can press N3. So N3 is allowed. Perfect. Oh, N3 is again not allowed because I think we have set up the rule it should not be greater than 2. So now I press OK and N3 is also deleted. If we just go here and let's say if I put N2, let's see how many times I can put the N2. You see that it is working in E2 also. It is not allowing me. I can enter N1, I can enter N1, I can again enter N1. If I go and enter N1 again, it should be deleted. Limit exhausted. Wonderful, amazing. So this is how this entire code is done, right? I'm just gonna put, show you this entire the code. Just give me a second. Right, so I have done some indenting, and this is the entire code. Basically, what you need to do is, if you understood this thing, rest all we have just copied, and we have just changed these criteria from N1 to N2 and N3, right? And once we have done all that stuff, what we have done, we again went to the new actually range, which is E2 to E10, and again I have put the same criteria. Let us calculate all our sheets and let us define the criteria here. Right guys, so this is how you can set up your criteria, and you can also put the VBA password so that nobody should come here and change the this stuff, right? So if you don't know how to put the password, when you go to this VBA project under the tools category, this is where you can write the protection, lock it, put the password here, put the password here, give it some complex password, press OK, save the file, close the file, reopen it, and nobody will be able to access this. When they double click here, the window will ask them for the password. If they enter, they can. If they don't know the password, they cannot, right? So this is the entire thing, and I hope my subscriber you must take some idea from here, and thank you so much for asking this wonderful question. I hope everybody is going to take the benefit out of it, right? So guys, I'm again repeating, if you find this video a little difficult, as I was telling you that this is a pure example of your events, right? So please go and visit Excel VBA event series and watch the videos in the sequence I provided there, and you will be fantastic. So do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in some time with some another exciting